If you've ever found yourself drawn to people who don't choose you fully, or staying in cycles where your worth is constantly questioned, then you might be in the Allure Love Loop. So let's talk about this so that you can break the cycle of settling and start standing in your high value energy. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Pattern. And today we are talking about the Allure Love Loop. Now, if you don't know what your love loop pattern is, you want to just pause this episode very quickly, take our 2-minute love and money pattern quiz. With that quiz, you're going to discover what your pattern is. And it's so important to get clear on what your underlying pattern is so that you know what your core belief and your core wound is. This is the core emotional pattern that's going to show up and sabotage your next level of love, money, lifestyle, success, happiness, whatever it is, whenever your internal thermostat starts to hit that peak. So you want to make sure that you are fully conscious, fully aware of this pattern so you can do the work to rewire it and you have the power to manage and control it. But we're going to dive all into that and specifically around the Allure Love Loop pattern. Now, if you're not in Allure, you can definitely feel free to stay with us with this episode, but you can also look, go back some episodes and check out our other episodes specifically for your love loop pattern so that you know more about your core pattern. And before we dive into this, I also want to say that if you want to actually get started on doing the work to rewire this, you want to check out either a rewire kit, which is a bundle of workshops and our signature heart healing visualizations that's going to be specific to your loop. So this is a standalone workshop that you can purchase that's going to have a set of exercises and bundles and visualizations for you to do week by week so that you can work on rewiring this core belief. And if you want to take it to the next level, then I invite you to become a member of the Love Loft, and you will enjoy our heart spa experience. You'll enjoy our full Love Loop Rewire Vault. They'll help you rewire yourself specifically for love, money, and your next level of success and self-worth. So check that out. Check out the link in the show notes to get the information on that. But today we're talking about the Allure Love Loop pattern. So what is the Allure Love Loop? The key emotional signature of the Allure is feeling as though they aren't valuable enough. They aren't good enough. They aren't valuable enough. Now, if you listen to our episode for the Trophy Chaser, you might be like, well, what's the difference between the Trophy Chaser and the Allure? And they both have an underlying wound of not enough, but it shows up differently. So with the Trophy Chasers tend to be high achievers. They tend to lead with doing, high functioning, over giving. They definitely are anxiously attached, but they tend to feel like there's never enough in a space of chasing security. The Allure, even though they may have some signs and symptoms of this, the difference with the Allure is that the Allure is activated from a place of not feeling worthy enough. So they feel as though they're not good enough, they're not worthy enough, they're not valuable, they don't know their value, they don't make decisions from a place of value. And oftentimes, especially in romantic relationships, they tend to lead with the surface. They tend to lead with physical attraction, sexual attraction. They tend to use that as a way to lure and attract in versus the trophy chaser. They can have some of those qualities and symptoms too, but more than anything, they tend to lead with doing, achieving, overgiving, proving, fixing, all of those things. Like they are, like I said, they tend to be the high achievers of the loops. And so for the Allure, one of the core beliefs that has to be shifted, and one of the things that you struggle with, and this will show up in love and money, but today we're focusing specifically on your romantic life and on your love life. This may also show up in your family relationships or your friendships, your relationships with your children. But for that core belief of, if I'm wanted, then I'm worthy. If I'm chosen, then I'm worthy. And so you're always looking for someone to validate you as a sign that you are worthy enough. You are lovable, you are worthy enough, you are attractive enough, you are desirable enough. So the typical behaviors and how this may show up is attracting emotionally unavailable or inconsistent partners. And like I said, the trophy chaser tends to attract this as well. But one of the slight differences is that for the trophy chaser, they tend to attract this looking and seeking more for status versus the allure. It may not be status driven. It may not necessarily be about security, or emotional security, or financial security. It's going to be rooted more in just the idea of validation. So the thing with this, and I'm going to get like a little, this may make some people uncomfortable, but for the allure, it's being a little honest, for the allure, because they're not necessarily attracted to status necessarily, they could be, but that's not necessarily a key signature of the allure. So they might chase emotionally unavailable or inconsistent partners who actually have very little to offer, or it may just be sexual attraction or just physical attraction or just simply validation. So they could chase someone who does absolutely nothing for them, doesn't make them feel good, but the little bit of attention or the little bit of time or the idea of being chosen by someone in some capacity is validating enough. So this leads to a lot of low quality relationships, a lot of low self-worth behaviors, because they're simply just in a space of wanting to be chosen. Now, this could also show up, as I mentioned, as over-identifying with physical attraction or chemistry as proof of connection. So if you're always seeking passionate, sexual chemistry, passionate physical attraction, you're leading with the physical, you're leading with physical connection. And that is the proof that you are desirable. That is the proof that you are lovable. That is the proof that you are good enough. Maybe you lead with how you dress in a very sexual way. Maybe you lead with flirting and being very physical. That's your way to lure people in. Let's just say, for example, when you first meet someone, the way that you determine the connection is to instantly try to make some type of physical connection in order to feel like, okay, yes, this is it, this is going to work. And it usually never does. But you're leading with that as a way to signify or to communicate connection or to feel validated so that you know that this person wants you. If you tend to lead with that, maybe when you do feel insecure or you do feel not good enough, you resort to sexting or sending some sexual pictures or sexual conversations or doing something to try to get a quick hit of dopamine in order to feel validated. Now, this isn't saying that you are promiscuous in any way, because you may not go that far, but this is just how you lead with connection in order for you to feel validated. And you may also internalize rejection or a lack of commitment as a reflection of your value. So when someone doesn't want to be physically connected with you, or when someone doesn't want to commit to you, or they don't quote unquote choose you, you see that as a reflection of your value, you not being good enough, you not being worthy enough. So these are some of the typical signs of the allure. And this is also mirrored back into your money, your relationship with money, your career, your relationship with how you make financial decisions, and the way that you tend to make decisions when it comes to lifestyle, success, what you want. It's all reflected in these same behaviors and patterns. Now, in dating specifically, when we're looking specifically at dating, how the allure tends to show up in dating is from a place with a strong pull of emotional confusion or unavailable people. If you are an allure, you probably have been in a cycle of being in this space of attracting someone that you're really physically attracted to, or maybe they're very physically attracted to you, or maybe they're just leading with sexual chemistry, sexual conversations, sexual connection first, physical connection first. Or let me just say this, it may not always be so physical. It could also be someone who simply gives you a lot of physical time. Someone who spends a lot of time with you. Maybe they give you a lot of phone calls. Maybe they give you a lot of FaceTime. Maybe they just spend a lot of physical time with you. it can come off kind of love bomby, but I'm not going to necessarily say that that is the intention, because you may also be doing it. You may also be the love bomber. But there tends to be a strong emotional pull, or a strong pull in the beginning, but there's also a strong pull towards people who are confusing or people who are emotionally unavailable. So those who are inconsistent, those who are flaky, those who are hot and then cold, those who don't know what they want, or maybe they say that they're attractive, but then they don't back it up with action. Maybe they back it up with action, but they're not saying the things that you need to hear for you to feel like, okay, this is a real connection. So there's a lot of confusion in the relationship, or they're just emotionally unavailable. And you know that deep down inside, you know that they're not fully available. They're not ready for the relationship that you want. They're not spending the type of quality time with you. They're not creating an emotional connection or an emotional bond. It's very surface level. It's very physical. It doesn't go deeper. It's not integrated into your life, but you're really settling for just a very surface level connection. Or what also happens during the early stages of dating for an allure is you're leveraging a lot of allure, a lot of charm, or your desirability as currency for love. So you're leaning on charisma, on charm, on seduction, on alluring someone in, on physical attraction, on sexual chemistry. You're leaning on all of these things as a way to try to source love from another person, to try to source connection, to try to source validation. That is how you default when you maybe don't feel worthy or you don't feel good enough. This is what you lean into, and this is your power and how you learn to leverage in relationships. Now, in the actual relationship, if you make it to an actual relationship or a marriage, what tends to come up for you as an allure is this fear of being too much or not enough. You're swinging on a pendulum of, am I too much? Am I too much for someone to handle? Am I too much, or am I not good enough? You're swinging on this pendulum of a fear of, I don't want to be too much. I don't want to do too much. If I did this, oh my gosh, did I make the wrong choice? Did I make the wrong decision? Is somebody going to leave me? So you're constantly battling with yourself between worried about being too much for someone or not being enough. This can also lead to you staying in relationships, or especially situationships. Just like the trophy chaser, you tend to be highly attracted to situationships or just non-reciprocal connections. Like, this could be friendships, it could be work environments, work relationships, but you tend to stay in these situations for far too long, especially the situationship trap. Allures and trophy chasers tend to spend a lot of time and romanticists as well, but especially allures, they are highly attracted to situationships. And you may also find yourself in the relationship constantly questioning, why not me? Like, why not me? Why am I not good enough? Why her? Why not me? Why am I not chosen? Why am I not enough? Why am I'm just too much. I'm just too much to handle. I'm just, all of those types of thoughts. What do they have that I don't? All of those type of thoughts and beliefs around the desire to be chosen. The thing is, if you stay in the cycle and you don't rewire it, and you don't actually address the underlying beliefs, and you don't learn how to show up in your romantic life from a higher state of being, then the erosion of your self-worth starts to unfold. You'll find yourself feeling like love has to be earned, or that people withhold their love for you, and that really tears away at your self-worth. What I've also found is that for a lot of allures, they tend to enter in cycles of high passion, high sexual chemistry, and then very shortly after, the relationship crumbles and they go into the spiral of not feeling good enough, not feeling chosen, not feeling worthy, because the other person has pulled away, or there's been a breakup, or the person's ghosted, and they've made this emotional connection, or this sexual connection, or this high state of chemistry with this other person, and now this person has withdrawn because it was rushed in the beginning. Now this person is withdrawn and they're questioning their worthiness. They go into a spiral. They start feeling not good enough, not worthy. So now, in a need to have validation and to feel good enough to feel chosen again. They go out there, they meet a new person, they get chosen again, or they get that hit, they get that dopamine of validation. They end up making the same passionate connection, the same choice, and end up going back into the same type of spiral when the person pulls away and it doesn't work out. So this leads to a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, and this loop is one of the harder ones to break. And I have a lot of empathy for allures because when it comes to the allure pattern, it tends to have a physical and an emotional component to it as well. Unlike some of the others that may lean more emotional, and maybe even spiritual in some ways, the allure has a strong physical component to it. And because that strong physical component to the allure pattern, you're really having to tackle all aspects of the inner work to truly grow out of this. And to break this pattern, to rewire this, it's always going to come down to you learning to level up your self-worth. Now, another thing that allures tend to do, and what happens if you do not break the cycle, is that you're going to stay in a long-term cycle of confusing attention with intimacy. With captivating courtship, I would say this to my clients over there. I would say to them that you're confusing intention with attention, and those are two different things. Someone who's willing to give you attention, not the same thing as someone showing up with intention. And so if you're confusing attention with true intimacy, you're always going to be chasing this dopamine hit of just wanting to get attention and validation and thinking that that is enough, that that is what love looks like, that's what a relationship looks like. And this will always have you chasing the next person as person. You may even have a hard time staying single. It may really eat you up because you feel like you're just simply not being chosen and you're just simply not enough. And then also what happens from not rewiring this loop is the exhaustion that comes from it. Like, it's exhausting to go from person to person, relationship to relationship, dating to dating. Like, it's exhausting to go through that. It's exhausting to feel like you always have to prove that you're good enough. When am I going to be chosen? Why not me? All of those types of emotions are exhausting. Feeling like you're waiting for someone to pick you, waiting for someone to choose you. That is an extremely exhausting place to be. So it's so important for you to understand, if you're an allure and you're listening to this, it has nothing to do with your worthiness. You are already worthy. You are already good enough. It's just simply that you've been outsourcing your value to people who can't reflect it back. And I know that this might sound like very cliche. You might hear on social media, oh, you know, right package, wrong door, all of those types of things. And that is true. But what's most importantly is that you have to learn how to rewire what you're attracted to. You have to elevate your worthiness, your self-worth, and understand how to connect and how to build intimacy and connection from a place of value and not a place of validation. So here are the things that you need to do as a allure if you want to rewire this pattern. And the key to this is truly learning to seek that value and that sovereignty from within. So there are 3 things that we want to focus on, and this is inside the Allurer Love Loop kit that you can purchase, or if you have access to the Love Loop Rewire Vault, these are some of the things inside of the Allure pathway, along with everything else that we put inside of the Allure pathway for you to have the complete rewire transformation. But the first thing is you have to get clear on your value, your authentic value. This is so important, because even when no one else is clapping for you, you have to be able to clap for yourself. You have to be able to step into your high self-worth so that you are so worthy, so deserving, and you are secure in that. You're truly grounded in your security. So doing the inner work so that you can release the shame, you can release the guilt, you can release the rejection, and you know how to embody that high worth state of being and how to make decisions from your worthiness. The first thing you have to do is get clear on your authentic value and get clear on what that actually is. If you don't know your value, if you don't know why people are attracted to you, what's the light that you bring into every room that you walk into, it's going to be hard for you to make decisions from that place. So you have to do the internal work so that you are actually clear on your value. And if you need help with that, between myself and those that I work with here, especially if you do a heart spa experience, we're going to help you to get crystal clear on that so you never have to question or doubt that again. But if you have a hard time really standing in your value and knowing your value, being really confident in that, I promise you there's so much life that's available to you that you are holding yourself back. There's money that's on the table that you are holding yourself back. There are relationships, there are rooms that you're supposed to be in, there are connections that you're supposed to have, there's a life that you're supposed to live, there's a quality of life, there's a love life, there's a partner, there's all of those things that are waiting for you. But you are not currently in alignment with the value that you have to possess and you have to stand in order to be a magnetic attraction for it. So doing this first step, getting clear on your unconditional value, is extremely, extremely important. And the workshops and the visualizations inside of that will help you to break this down and get clear. Now, the next thing that you have to do as an allure is so, so key. And this is where embodiment comes in. And when we talk about the 6 steps that we take you through here inside the Love Loop Rewireable as a member of the Love Loft, one of the final steps, the 5th step, is the big leap, right? That big, bold leap. But before that, actually, I'm going to take a step back, because before that is the energy shed. And the energy shed is important because when you shed old energy and you're consciously making the decision to create new habits, new routines, to clear the space of the old so that the new can come in, then you have the opportunity to actually make decisions from a higher state of being, which allows you to make decisions with higher standards without guilt. This is the thing. You have to be able to step into your high self-worth and elevate your standards, elevate your requirements without feeling guilt or shame for doing so. Your standards, your boundaries, which we do have a boundaries workshop and visualization to help you understand how to do that and also get clear on what boundaries you need to set in place. But the standards and the boundaries that you have is a form of self-protection. It's not pickiness. It's not something that you need to people please with. You have to understand how to elevate these standards so that you can actually protect the values and protect this new version of yourself that's standing fully in your value. So this is so important and key for you to create a new life. One of my favorite tools inside the Love Loop Rewireable, and one of the things that we do with you, is the expansion map for this. With the expansion map, when you get to see the different levels, the 4 different tiers that you could be playing out, the 4 different timelines that you could be playing out, when you do that expansion map, and you're able to see, okay, I'm operating here on this level. And in order for me to get from this level to this level, I need to act out this version of myself. I need to start being this version of myself. That is such a quick way for you to just clearly put it into your mind and put into context who you need to become and how to elevate your standards. So that is such a helpful and very important key for you to elevate those standards. And if you need even more help with this, if you really want to go deep, then you need to book a heart spa experience. You can go to the link in the show notes to book a consultation. We'll talk about the heart spa experience, where you will get to the root of those subconscious blocks that's keeping you from it, but you're also going to get a 6-month strategy plan that's going to help you to get crystal clear on who you need to become, what you need to do, and have a roadmap to truly elevate your life in a 6-month period. You can do it faster than that. It can actually take you as little as 3 months. But I say just to be able to do it in a sustainable way so that you don't burn out your nervous system, you want to give yourself a solid 3 to 6 months for you to implement this strategy, implement this plan, and watch how much your life transforms. Now, the third thing that you want to focus on as an allure is attracting and making decisions from a place of worth and not your wounds. This is the game changer for the allure. Learning how to slow down and stop using romantic validation to heal your childhood wounds. Stop using physical attraction, chemistry, all of those things to heal your childhood wounds. Instead, you're going to learn to practice nervous system regulation. You're going to learn to get grounded and doing the inner work so that you can actually walk and show up as the version of self that you need to be. So this is one of the things that I absolutely love for Allures, and that it means so much to me to help an Allure with this because, I personally understand what that is like. I always say most people have about two to up to three, but people usually have 1 to 2 patterns to operate. You're going to have a core pattern, and then you might have 1 or 2 sub patterns. But your core pattern is going to be like your strongest belief that you struggle with. For me, my strongest has always been the trophy chaser. So something that I'm consciously aware of when it's showing up. How is it showing up? How is that belief dictating my decisions? The need for security, whether it's emotional security, financial security, how is chasing that is showing up in my decisions and in my life. But also, my number 2 was the allure. So I do completely understand the battles that the allure faces. Now, I can 100% say that I have rewired that pattern and it has no hold over me anymore. And I'm so grateful for that. But when you're struggling with that, like, it's a very, very real thing. But I can tell you 100% that you can rewire this pattern, stand so firmly in your worth, no longer have that need to heal through your romantic connection. You will be able to self-soothe. You will be able to self-validate. You will be able to make decisions from quality and not quantity. You will get out of that scarcity mindset and that need to be chosen. And that is the most confident, affirming space that you could ever live in. So I want this for you, and I want you to be able to take control and step into your next level, your highest version of yourself, without allowing this need to be chosen and shrinking in your value and not knowing your value to be the thing that's keeping you back. So there's 2 things that you can do right now to turn this around. The first thing is you're going to go to the show notes and you're going to get a Allure rewire kit. That is a one-off rewire kit that you get to have. You can refer back to it whenever you want so that you can rewire this pattern and have these tools at your disposal. Again, when we're talking about rewiring, it's not a one-time thing. This is a lifestyle. I'm not saying that you have to do this necessarily for the rest of your life, but you'll know when you've rewired a pattern. You will know. And while you will get the benefits in just a couple of sessions, with the heart spot, you're going to get benefits immediately in one day. But if you're going the DIY route and you're doing a rewire kit, you will start to see changes within just like a few weeks. You will start to see changes. You will feel an emotional shift right away, but you'll start to see changes within the first 4 weeks or so of doing the rewire kit. But you still want to keep going to rewire the pattern. When you have actually rewired the pattern, you will know. And for everyone, that's going to be very different. But you want to make sure that you're revisiting it. You're not just doing it once and putting it aside and thinking that's it. It doesn't work that way. You've been operating in a way of being for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You have been operating as a certain version of yourself based upon these childhood wounds and how you've learned to be. So now you have to learn a new way of being, and that's going to take some time. So just by simply having a rewire kit, it's going to give you some tools to just have in your back pocket whenever you feel like you need to refer back to it, you need to recalibrate, you're going to have that at your disposal. The last thing, the next thing that I want to suggest for you to do is become a member of the Love Loft, and you're going to kick that off with a heart spa experience. We will specifically rewire your patterns when it comes to love and alignment so that you are clear on what you need to do over a 6-month period to truly rewire these patterns, how you need to show up, who you need to be. You have a clear vision for your love life. Whether you're married or you're single, you get to elevate and take that relationship and take your love life to the next level. If you're married or you're in a relationship, don't get it wrong. If you haven't dealt with your subconscious blocks, your wounds, your emotional reactions, your emotional management, this stuff is still running the show, even if you have the commitment. So we don't want to just be complacent because you're married or because you're in a relationship. We want to constantly be in a state of growth and elevation and alignment to get to our next level and to keep aspiring for whatever that next level for you may be. So in love specifically, you want to rewire the pattern set, have a clear vision, and then have a clear plan to implement. And we do that with you and guide you through that in a one-day amazing, life-changing, transformational one-day retreat for you that is catered and specific to you with our heart spa. So if you want to learn more about that, you go to the link in the show notes, book a consultation so that we can discuss if this is the right fit for you and everything that's included with this, so we can truly help you to elevate and align with your next level. So thank you so much for listening to this. Make sure that you leave us a review, leave us a comment. Please, please, please help. It goes such a long way to spread the word for this podcast. Let others know about these patterns and share the quiz with someone that you know who could benefit and invite them to be a part of this community. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.